What's going on, everybody? It's Aurora coming at you with a brand new video, and I am very excited because we just got the first / cover archetype of the new core set Legacy of Destruction revealed. And it seems like this entire archetype is one big tribute to Kazuki Takahashi himself, which, of course, for those that somehow don't know, did end up tragically passing away, I think over a year ago. Wow, that's a long time actually. And the cover archetype of this set seems to be one huge rewave of retrains for Yugi's old cards, all referencing this one artwork that you can kind of see down here, or one of the cards at least references the artwork. And you can see the artwork down here, but I'll show it better once we actually get to the card I'm referring to because I have a side-by-side comparison. Overall, I'm super excited because even though I'm not much of like a big fan of retraining Dark Magician or Duel Monsters era stuff, I mean, it's really cute to think about, honestly, but I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into this. This is a brand new archetype, technically. It's kind of like Memento in a way, just they're not all dead, and it's like 10 different cards. It says, let's play one last game with the true king of games. So it says the pack cover is the brand new Gandora, which the first card is Gios Gandora, the Dragon of Destruction. It is a level 8 Dark Dragon effect monster with 0 attack and defense that says you can only use the first and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If you control Gold Sarcophagus of Light, you can special this card from your hand. It gains 300 attack for each banished card, and you can pay half your life points to destroy as many other cards in the field as possible, and if you do, banish them, then special summon one level 7 or lower monster from your deck that mentions Gold Sarcophagus of Light, and if you do, increase its level by that number of cards destroyed by this effect. So that's what the central theme of this archetype is the Gold Sarcophagus of Light. So now I can actually make sure I title my video correctly. But yeah, so it's actually a coherent strategy. Like I said, it's like Memento in a sense, but like all the cards are just retrained as opposed to being like dead versions of themselves. And I mean, this seems like a really good card overall. I mean, you're getting a free body on board. It's going to get really large from banished stuff. And then paying half your life points is a small price to pay to literally nuke the whole board. And it gets you a free body that's probably going to get you a replacement for your Gold Sarcophagus of Light, and you're increasing the level, which I'm not sure how much that'll do, but it depends on what we see later on. But overall, not a bad start. Decent boss monster here because it is just a free board nuke. On to the next one, we have Silent Swordsman 0. It is a level 4 light warrior with 1000 attack and defense that says you can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. Once per turn during each standby phase, you can increase this card's level by 1, or actually it's a mandatory increase this card's level by 1. While this card's current level is higher than its current level, it gains attack equal to the difference times 500, so that's where the level increase really comes in, it looks like. And when your opponent activates a card effect that targets Gold Sarcophagus of Light and or a monster that mentions it, you control, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, increase this card's level by 1. So, decent protection for your Gold Sarcophagus of Light and your monsters, I mentioned it. Increasing the level also gives you an additional stat boost to it, and you're probably going to be summoning this so far, it looks like, off the Gios Gandora, and it's going to be pretty damn big off of that. Overall, though, it's just kinda okay, a little bit slow like the regular Silent Swordsman, but the targeting protection is probably going to make up for it, even though it is a really small body off the bat. Oh yeah, there's also Silent Magician 0. Okay, so on top of that, we have a Silent Magician retrain. It's level 4 light spellcaster with 1000 attack and defense, so you can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. If your opponent draws a card or cards, increase this card's level by the number drawn. While this card's current level is higher than its original level, it gains attack equal to the difference, times 500. And when your opponent activates a spell card or effect and you control Gold Sarcophagus of Light, you can negate the activation, and if you do, increase its card level by 1. So this just seems kind of better than the Silent Swordsman because it's a really reliable method of increasing the level. A lot of cards draw cards nowadays compared to having to wait during each standby phase with this card staying on board just to increase the level. So you can make this really big in terms of level and stats really fast. And then the third effect is literally just a spell negate. Yeah, it negates activation, so that means they can activate another one most of the time if they have a second one. But it also does increase this card's level by 1, and the activation condition is really easy. So this seems like a really solid one compared to the Swordsman, at least. Our next monster is Tricolor Gadget, of course being based after all of the original Gadget monsters. It is a level 4 Earth Machine with 1300 attack and 1100 defense. You can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. If it's normal or special summon, you can add Gold Sarcophagus of Light or a spell or trap that mentions it from your deck to your hand, and if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can set one Stronghold the Hidden Fortress directly from your deck. So I've seen the artwork, and Stronghold the Hidden Fortress is basically a retrain of Stronghold the Moving Fortress, or whatever his name was. But the on-summon effect, simply Stratos or Rhoda, whatever you want to call it, for any spell or trap that mentions Gold Sarcophagus of Light or the card itself, and it seems like the entire deck revolves around the Gold Sarcophagus of Light, similar like Horus with King Sarcophagus, so obviously this is kind of like a guaranteed 3 of. Our final monster is the retrain of Marshmallon called a Marshmallon. It is a level 3 light fairy effect monster with 300 attack and 500 defense. He has his signature Marshmallon glasses on, which is adorable. And it says you can only use each of this card's name, for the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if you control Gold Sarcophagus of Light, quick effect, you can special this card from your hand. While you control the Sarcophagus, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent's monsters cannot target other monsters for attacks, basically giving it the effect of the Marshmallon glasses. And if this card is destroyed by card effect, you can special one of your other Marshmallon that is banished or in your hand, deck, or graveyard, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. A little bit slow, just like the original Marshmallon, but it does give you some protection for your other monsters, at least. It's not like better protection than the Swordsman, but on top of the Swordsman, it's going to be a little bit harder for your opponent to actually get rid of your stuff. And then if you do manage to pop it, you can at least get another Marshmallon, so that's going to be pretty decent for you as well there. Though I would have preferred if it also gave some like other protection, like destruction protection for your other monsters, but I mean, what more can you really ask for? We'll probably actually get it on the Gold Sarcophagus, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get right into the Gold Sarcophagus of Light. It is a continuous spell card, of course, that says you can only use the second and third effects of its name once per turn. It cannot be destroyed by monster effects, no Nightmare Phoenix for you. During your main phase, you can add one card from your deck to your hand that mentions it, or accept another copy of it, and if your opponent special summons a monster from the graveyard, you can discard one spell to target one of those monsters and send it to the graveyard. Wow, this is a really, really good card. I was going to say it screams Ogre me, but you can't even Ogre it because it cannot be destroyed by monster effects, so that's really, really good. During your main phase, being able to search for any monster, or actually any card that mentions Gold Sarcophagus of Light, really huge there. I mean, it's literally going to be able to search you anything, including the tricolor gadget, which can search for another spell or trap. So you'll have at least a monster on board, and one of the spells you search might be able to destroy it, so you can get the Stronghold from your deck. We'll probably end up seeing that. And then this, you're probably going to have a lot of graveyard effects on the spells in the deck, so it's probably not really a big deal. But then just getting a free set if your opponent special a monster from the graveyard seems a little niche, but it's still a really solid effect on top of an already really good Rota card with some awesome protection. This is a really nice continuous spell. Moving on to the next spell, we have Silence of Time, or Turn Silence, whatever you want to call it. It is a quick play spell that says you can only activate one per turn. Target one face-up monster you control, increases level by 3, and if you activated this card in response to your opponent's monster effect activation while you control the Gold Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions it, negate that effect. So a little bit specific there, but it could end up being a really good imperm. And if you're a monster that mentions Gold Sarcophagus of Light battles during damage calculation, you can banish this card from your graveyard to end the battle phase. So this is really good in combination with something like Marshmallon, where the rest of your monsters are safe when it gets swung at, and you're going to be discarding it probably off the Gold Sarcophagus of Light if you're not using the first effect already. Remember, it says you can only activate one card of it per turn, not one of these effects per turn, so you can activate this as an imperm, and if your opponent tries to swing, you can immediately end the battle phase. Awesome there as well. Pretty solid protection, but it's probably going to be best for the imperm effect. And another spell is Ties of the Fellowship slash Ties of the Comrade, a retrain of Ties of the Brethren. And this is the card I mentioned that mentions that artwork. I'll put like a splash on the screen of a comparison that my friend Darktome on Twitter ended up putting together. It's such a cute little tribute. I really love it a lot. But onto the effect of it, it is a normal spell that says you can only activate one of it per turn. If you control Gold Sarc and a monster that mentions it, you cannot special from the extra deck for the rest of the turn after this card resolves. Special up to 2 level 4 or lower monsters with different names from your hand or deck that mention Gold Sarcophagus of Light. So there's going to be able to get you access to the tricolor gadget to get a free search, and you can get access to your Silent Magician 0 for a spell negate. So pretty solid combination there. It does lock you out of the extra deck, but you're probably not going to be focusing too hard on the extra deck. Reminds me a lot of like Vanquish Soul, except without the Link monster, or more like Toons, I guess. It's a lot like Toons, honestly, now that I think about it. Just only one of the monsters has a special summon condition. But it seems like a really, really good effect because, yeah, you'd have to control a monster that mentions it already, but it's going to get you 2 free bodies from decks, so really what more could you ask for? The final spell is Silence Towards the Future. It is a quick play that says you can only activate one per turn. Add one monster from your deck to your hand that mentions Gold Sarc of Light, then if you activated it during the battle phase while you controlled Gold Sarc of Light and a monster that mentions it, each player draws cards until they have 6 cards in their hand. So I'm assuming this is supposed to go with the new Silent Magician retrain, so that it gains 6 levels and goes up to like level 10 and gets really, really massive. I don't really see it being like huge, not to mention this is a mandatory effect, by the way, so you could end up drawing into hand traps theoretically, or your opponent can draw into a bunch of gas and just absolutely murder you. To be fair, it's during the battle phase, so they might not get huge value unless they're playing like Super Poly or something specifically, but they could end up drawing hand traps, or it really just feels like it's going to be kind of rough if you end up giving your opponent a bunch of free advantage, because they're probably dumping their entire hand on board to like get through all of your effects and then just go for the kill. So you're going to be giving them probably a lot more value than you're getting, especially in a deck that seems a little bit slow like this. You're not really pumping out a bunch of like awesome combo or resource advantage. You're just kind of chilling with your monsters on board. So I'm not too sure about this one. It is a Rhoda. I just don't like the mandatory effect to make everyone draw, you know? But finally, the last card is Stronghold, the Hidden Fortress, the retrain of Stronghold, the Moving Fortress. It is a continuous spell that says you can special it as an effect monster, machine, earth level 4 as your attack to defense with these effects, treating it also as still a trap. It gains 1000 attack for each card you control that is Gold Sark or a monster that mentions it, and once per turn when an opponent's monster declares an attack and you control Gold Sark, you can destroy that monster. So it can end up getting really, really big. Like, this can end up being a huge monster here, to be fair. And then the second effect, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, is kind of rough compared to just when any monster declares an attack while you control the Gold Sark. Destroying a monster is pretty solid. A lot of these effects, revolve around the battle phase, though, which is something I'm not, like, too fond of. Like, a lot of archetypes that revolve around the battle phase just end up being really bad. See Amazoness or fucking War Rock or anything like that. So I'm not too sure, but mainly just for the free big 4,000 plus body, most likely, that you can set off of a tricolor gadget here, that's going to end up being really, really good. So what do I think about this tribute archetype? I think it's a really cool tribute, but do I think it's going to be like a super relevant deck? Probably not, honestly. I mean, most dual monsters retrains are never really that great, to be fair. Let's look at Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. If someone says Blue Eyes One Worlds, I'm going to punch you. Like, a lot of these are made with, like, actual cohesion in mind, but they're still too scared to give anything from the DM era actually relevant good effects. I mean, some of these are fine, like Spell Negation, you know, this is a really nice field nuke. I would wish it was a quick effect or something, but, you know, whatever. And then, like, a lot of these have, like, some pretty good consistency. It's just that what they do isn't enough, you know? Like, you can be as consistent as you want, but if you're ending on, like, a Spell Negate and, like, attack prevention, you're really not doing anything, you know? You're ending on really big bodies and then like 2 actual disruptions maybe if you're lucky. So I'm not too sure if this will end up ever seeing any like competitive success, even if it gets more cards, unless they're really, really good. But I do think this is a really cute tribute to Kazuki Takahashi, especially this artwork right here compared to the one that he ended up drawing himself. And I think it might be a really fun one to play in casual play. But I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you like it, please sure to leave a like, as I'll split this video and the channel into recommended. And if this content or sort of like it, like the rest of my review series, then perhaps consider subscribing sooner to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Not to mention, it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. Also, if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome TCG merchandise in the process, check out Tapio cards in the link down below. Use code Aurora5 for 5% off your purchase at checkout, and to support me financially. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.